Booktube. So right before sitting down to film this, I was watching Melinda over at Web of Stories channel and some of her recent videos celebrating 500 subscribers. And then I remembered that Kelly over at Books I'm Not Reading pulled, got inspiration from one of her videos to do a tag, and it's making its rounds. And so I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to do this tag. So I was like, let me sit down and discuss all the annoyances of books and book shopping and what have you. So I have my tablet here to go over the questions. It's like, why not sit and rant for a bit? That sounds like fun. The first question is, do publishers ever do things that you find annoying, and share an example? And yes, I think several people have talked about, the different like mismatched books, like some like in a series, how some will be, shorter or the other one's like not the same size or different covers, things like that. That does annoy me a little bit, but as far as something that generally annoys me, like the cartoon covers of, I think, particularly like romance books, those really annoy me. I don't like them at all, especially the ones with no faces. Those are really creepy. I don't. It's almost like an Amish doll or something. It's like, I don't know. It's bizarre to me. I don't understand why there's no face on there. On just a circle. So that really bothers me. Let's see here. Number 2 is, have you ever been annoyed by a spoiler? Even something as simple as someone else telling you there's a great twist. Minor spoilers don't bug me at all, but major plot points do. And I have been burned so many times with reading classic books introductions that I have just steered clear of them altogether and just go into the story itself. And sometimes because of that, I won't even remember when I finish the book to go back and read the introduction, like, with like the notes and all of that and the analysis and all that. Also, I'll skip it all in general. So yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled for classics, I wouldn't touch the introductions with a 10-foot pole, like, because they will ruin not just little spoilers, but the whole thing. So yeah, they should have like spoiler warnings on that, or just keep that part, the spoilers and all that, into the back of the book. Do the analysis in the back, introduce the author, like the history, background, something like that, but then of this book, but then have the spoilers and the analysis at the end. That makes so much more sense to me. Don't understand why they don't do that. Let's see. Number 3. Have you ever been annoyed by what is discovered in a Little Free Library, a book sale, or used bookstore? Tell us what you found and why it was so annoying. So for Little Free Libraries, what bugs me is people putting books in there that shouldn't be passed on to others. And when I say that, I mean books that have lots of water damage or torn and ripped up, mildew, things like that should just go in the trash or just falling apart. Like you open the book and it's just cracking and crumbling. I've seen so many of those kind of books, and who wants to own something like that? Like, or do you take it home and I'm gonna put that book on my shelf and then just ruin my other books? Like, no, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why it doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. And then for a book sale or used bookstore, something that annoys me that I've discovered, bookstores that don't appetize their books annoy me. Or like, used bookstores, I've seen that. Like, there was one bookstore I went to this weekend where it wasn't appetized. This is the first time I've ever seen this in my life. I was like, what in the world is this? Because I understand, booktubers having the aesthetically pleasing color coded on the back, like rainbow, like by the spine. But so I don't do that myself, because I would never find anything. And I'll have to pull everything out, and that would annoy me as well. But a bookstore, it's a thrift store, I should say. It was a thrift store. It was rainbowed. So I'm like, I can't see anything. The children's, the self-help, nonfiction, fiction, all of it was all mixed in together. And by the color of the spine, I'm like, I saw it and immediately walked away. I was like, that was an instance where, I was like, I'm not going to waste any of my time looking at anything you have for sale here, because I can't. It was really weird. That's the first time ever seeing that. And hopefully it's just the only one, and no one else will do it, because I don't think it's a bad idea. But yeah, if you're for your home library, do whatever you want. Let's see. Number 4. When it comes to short story collections, are you annoyed if there's a novella in the middle of the collection? Yes, I am. Because when I go to sit down and read a short story, most of the time I try and, like, if I'm in the middle of an anthology, I'll read 1 or 2 short stories a night. And typically I'll wait till like maybe that's my problem, is I wait until like the very end of the day once I've done my main reading and then get to that. And when I get to like a novella that's like 100 plus pages, I'm like, I only gave myself, let's say 30 minutes, and now it's going to take me much longer. And so I am annoyed when there's a novella. I think novellas should be either their own thing or in the back of the book. But when it's right in the middle, I'm like, darn it, I didn't know about this, and you ruined my night plans. And like, now, I mean, they're going to stay up or push it to the next day or what have you. And I thought that's a funny question in here because like it rings true, at least for me. I'm like, oh, and I never really thought about, expounding on that here. But yes, it is for sure an annoyance. Let's see. Number 5, deckled edges, beautiful or annoying. They are beautiful to look at, but when I pick them up to read the book, they are so annoying because I'm like, you're just reading, and to have that frustration when I want to go turn the page and having to like kind of like get that page turned because like they're because it's deckled edges, some of the pages are like the edge of the page is in a bit, so you have to like kind of almost bend the page in a sense to get it to turn to like pick it up, and that couple seconds of wasted energy and constant frustration throughout like a 300-page book drives me batty. I love the look of them. I own a couple, but they aren't something I seek out or truly appreciate, I should say, because they're more annoying than anything. But although I do like the look, if I'm just like looking in a store or whatever, oh look, it's pretty with the French flaps and things like that. But for me as a reader, I don't want to waste my time with it. Let's see, number 6, other people's annotations in a used book or library. Annoying, are you okay with it? It depends completely on the type of annotations. If it's a bunch of underlining and highlighting, no. If there's minor, like once every 50 pages a line is highlighted, I can still purchase the book and be okay. But if it's every single page like that, or even just one highlight and one each page, no, I can't. It's too much. It's too much of a distraction. But as far as annotations, again, it completely depends. I've seen some books where it's just a check mark on a section, and the check marks are still a little bit distracting. My eye is still drawn to it, but not so much. It doesn't hinder my reading. And I don't know. It depends on like what's on there. If it's like a kid annotating, saying good, bad, whatever. Sometimes I find it very amusing what I see in books that's annotated. I would never purchase a book, I will say, with annotations or highlighting. But if I get it from like a little free library or gifted a book like that, that's more I'm more lenient towards. But still, yeah, minor annotations are okay. And even major annotations, if it's like, I don't know, entertaining, not every page, but yeah, every once in a while, like seeing it like something at the very bottom, like I would be okay with that. Let's see. Where am I at? Number 7. If there's a series or collection of certain kinds of books, like an imprint, and changes are made, are you annoyed or okay with it? If yes, give an example. I am mostly okay with it because I read a lot of digital books, so I barely pay attention to the covers, and I really only focus on the covers when I'm pulling up the pictures to show you, on my tablet. So it doesn't bother me. But if I was someone who, religiously bought the books I am reading and had the series on my shelf, I would like them to match. It doesn't really make sense for them not to. I don't. But yeah. So like for me in my personal life, it doesn't hinder or annoy me or anything because, like I said, I don't see the series. So yeah, I have very few. I have very, very few series on my shelf, and I honestly, the ones I do have that are out of print or what have you, I don't mind because I'm just happy to have the books in general. Okay, number 8. Do the decisions of characters in a novel ever annoy you? Share the book and what decisions you found annoying. And I didn't read the questions beforehand, so I have a hard time like coming up with a book off the top of my head. But yes, of course, characters' decisions can annoy me and do. Often I'm just like wanting to like, pull the character away, like stop that, or whatever. If it's like a personal relationship decision or like a mystery book, and like they're going down to the scary basement or walking into the house when someone's there, something like that, or like their door's unlocked and they're just gonna walk in, whatever, things like that. I'm like, why are you doing that? Who in their right mind does stuff like that without like thinking it through? So of course there's moments where I'm like, why are they doing it? I just want to like talk to them, and sometimes I'll like or like make some kind of reaction out loud because what the character is doing is like it doesn't make sense. So yeah, but I understand why the author, it's a story, you're following along with this character, so I get it. You want to follow the plot, and the good and the bad guy have to meet eventually for confrontation and conflict, as part of the story plot. But yes, they can annoy me. Number 9, are you ever annoyed by how someone organizes their book? What do you find annoying? Well, I mentioned the color coding thing, and seeing other people do it, like, I admired it in a sense, because like I just can't imagine the amount of work it would take, and then constantly like struggling to find your books. But it doesn't annoy me because I have my books are like, this is my nonfiction. I have like nonfiction at the bottom over here, and then I have it all by genre. So I have like the middle grade and YA and children's book, and then I have classics, and then over here I have fantasy and mystery, romance, historical fiction, whatever. So I have mine organized by genre, and it's alphabetized as well for this, most of it, not all of it. If I only have a couple of books, I don't mind if they're not alphabetized. But that's my system. But I know that's not everyone's system. But yeah, so I'm really almost never annoyed. I can't think of. I mean, I can look at something. Oh, it's messy. Like, oh, I want to tidy it up, but I would never do it. It doesn't annoy me enough to want to change the other person's setup. If that makes sense. Let's see, number 10. Share something bookish that you find annoying. Let me think. Okay, stickers. I think other people have mentioned that as well. I'm sitting here looking, and like library stickers, like I'm never bothered enough to, because this has a plastic around the cover, so the cover doesn't get damaged. And this is an older book, so I'm happy that it has a plastic covering and I can't get off the sticker easily. This came out in 1966. But yeah, stuff like this, or like on the inside when you have the permanent. And this has like a library card, but there's no stamp on it or anything. But this is from 1969 was when this was put on here, so I'm surprised it isn't like filled out. But yeah, little stickers like this. Sometimes I will take the time and remove them. Let's see if I can find another one. But my nose is itching. Sorry. But often it's not worth it. Like for this one, for example, I tried taking this one off, and it just leaves like either a sticky residue, or at least like the paper part of the sticker on there. And then I'm just like, I just give up. I'm like, what's the point? I can ignore it. It doesn't, it's not like on here. Even though I have books where it's like, right here as well. I mean, I try, and then sometimes I regret trying to get it off because then there's sticky or there's paper, or it'll take off part of the cover. So I have for like years tried to get the stickers off, and like I said, it's like a 50-50 chance if I'm like going to regret that decision. So nowadays, I just leave the sticker. I leave it because, I don't want to make it any worse by just disfiguring it completely, and then like I'll take off part of the title or whatever. And so yeah, just live and learn with the stickers. And I'm pretty sure I've seen other people, doing this tag talk about that. So yeah, it's a thing. So let's see, is there number 11 is tag some people. So anyone watching this who hasn't done the tag, who is also annoyed by some bookish or publisher habits, feel free to do the tag. But I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.